What does it mean to simply cease to exist? It's not to die in a way we can figure out, but to just vanish. To be right here one moment, grounded in the solid, familiar world, and then, in the blink of an eye, to be gone. As if you walked straight out of our reality, leaving nothing but an impossible, echoing silence. These aren't campfire stories. They're disturbing. Real cases of people just going about their day. Then they were no more. They stepped out of their lives and into a void, leaving a profound mystery. We're about to look at 5 baffling disappearances in history, where the most terrifying clue is that there are no clues at all. Our first case takes us way back to the summer of 1763, in the English town of Shepton Mallet. This is where a man in his 60s named Owen Parfitt lived. His adventurous youth as a sailor had given way to a quiet life. After a debilitating illness, Parfitt was almost completely paralyzed. He spent his days with his elderly sister. One warm evening in June, Parfitt wanted fresh air. His sister carried him outside and settled him into his chair on the porch. He was in full view of a nearby farm where laborers were working. A storm was brewing. After a little while, Parfitt's sister decided it was time to bring him back in. She walked out to the spot where she'd left him, but Owen Parfitt was gone. The chair was empty. His greatcoat was still there, but the man himself had vanished. Panic set in. His sister yelled for help, and the farmhands rushed over. They hadn't seen or heard a thing. A thorough search of the property and town started immediately. How far could a paralyzed man have gone? Yet the search turned up nothing. Not a single trace of Owen Parfitt was ever found. Theories started swirling. Some whispered the devil had come to collect. Others figured his old pirate buddies had returned to silence him. But these were just stories, desperate attempts to make sense of the nonsensical. Logically, it made no sense. He couldn't have moved on his own. No one saw an abduction, just ceased to be there. Owen Parfitt, a man who could barely move, performed the ultimate vanishing act while the world blinked. Next, we head to the heart of New York City in 1910, a city teeming with life and a million eyes. It was here, on the crowded sidewalks of Fifth Avenue, that 25-year-old socialite Dorothy Arnold disappeared. On December 12, 1910, Dorothy left her family's Upper East Side home around 11 a.m. She was well-dressed and carrying about $30 in cash. She told her mother she was going to buy a dress. We can trace her steps that day. She stopped at a candy shop and charged a box of chocolates. Then, she popped into a bookstore and bought a book. Around 2 p.m., she ran into a friend on Fifth Avenue. Her friend said Dorothy seemed happy and mentioned she was going to walk through Central Park on her way home. She waved goodbye and walked off, melting into the afternoon crowd. Dorothy Arnold was never seen again. When she didn't come home for dinner, her family got worried, but her father refused to call the police. He hired private investigators trying to find his daughter quietly without the press getting wind of it. For 6 long weeks, they searched in secret, checking hospitals and morgues, but found nothing. Finally, in late January 1911, the family had no choice but to file a missing persons report. The news exploded. Theories ranged from elopement with a secret lover to despair over her rejected writing. Her family spent a fortune, over $100,000, searching for her, but every single lead went cold. The police dredged the reservoir in Central Park and investigated a secret boyfriend, all to no avail. Dorothy Arnold, a vibrant young woman, had walked down one of the busiest streets in the world and simply evaporated. New York City is also the setting for our next disappearance, one so famous it literally turned the man's name into a verb. To pull a crater became slang for vanishing completely, and it all started with Judge Joseph Force Crater. On the evening of August 6, 1930, Judge Crater had dinner with a friend and a showgirl at a restaurant. After the meal, his companions saw him leave the restaurant. He waved down a taxi, got in, and drove off. That was the last confirmed time anyone ever saw Judge Joseph Crater. Incredibly, no one reported him missing for nearly a month. His wife was at their summer home, and his work colleagues just figured he was on vacation. It wasn't until the courts were about to reopen in September that the alarm was finally raised. The investigation uncovered some bizarre behavior. Days before he vanished, Crater told his wife he had to straighten some people out. He destroyed documents and withdrew thousands of dollars. Was he getting ready to run, or did he know he was in danger? Theories were everywhere. Many believe he was murdered by the mob to keep him from testifying. Others think he fled to start a new life, maybe with one of his mistresses. His wife later found envelopes stuffed with cash in his study, as if he was trying to get his affairs in order. But the core mystery is this: how does a high-profile judge disappear from a busy street without a single witness? No cab driver ever came forward. No body was ever found. The case stayed open until 1979. He hailed a cab and seemingly drove right off the edge of the world. It's unsettling, right? The idea that the rules of reality might have loopholes, that a person can't just be erased, or can they? We're about to dig into 2 more cases. If you find these mysteries as compelling as we do, take a second to subscribe for more journeys into the unknown. A cruise ship is supposed to be a self-contained world, a floating city where everyone is accounted for. But in March of 1998, the Royal Caribbean ship Rhapsody of the Seas became the scene of a terrifying mystery. 23-year-old Amy Lynn Bradley was on a family vacation sailing through the Caribbean. In the early morning hours of March 24th, the ship was nearing Curacao. Amy had been up late, dancing. Her father, Ron, saw her around 5:30 a.m., seemingly asleep on a chair on their cabin's private balcony. When he woke up again, just 30 minutes later, at 6 a.m., she was gone. Her cigarettes and lighter were gone. The family immediately reported her missing, but they felt the crew didn't take them seriously. A 4-day Coast Guard search found nothing. The initial theory was that she had fallen overboard or died by suicide. But Amy was a trained lifeguard and a strong swimmer. Her family is adamant that she was happy. What makes this case so haunting are the unconfirmed sightings that followed. One man claimed to see her on a beach in Curacao with 2 men who kept her from speaking to him. A U.S. Navy member said he saw her in a brothel, where she allegedly begged for help before being taken away. Perhaps the most disturbing clue came in photos, allegedly from a sex trafficking website, showing a woman like Amy. Despite these heartbreaking leads, none have ever been proven. Amy Bradley was declared legally dead in 2010, but for her family, the agonizing questions remain. Did she fall into the ocean, or was she stolen? She was there 1 minute, and in the next, her life was replaced by an endless, agonizing mystery. Our final case is maybe the most famous American disappearance of the 20th century, tangled with union power and crime. On July 30th, 1975, the legendary former president of the Teamsters Union, Jimmy Hoffa, vanished. He vanished from a restaurant parking lot in suburban Detroit. Hoffa had been trying to regain his power. He was scheduled to meet 2 very dangerous men, Anthony Giacalone, a Detroit enforcer, and Anthony Provenzano. Witnesses saw Hoffa pacing impatiently in the parking lot. He even called his wife to complain. That was the last time anyone ever heard from him. When he didn't return home, the alarm was raised. Police found his unlocked car in the parking lot with no sign of a struggle, but Jimmy Hoffa was gone. The FBI launched a massive investigation, certain that Hoffa was the victim of a mob hit. The prevailing theory is that his attempt to reclaim the Teamsters presidency threatened the mob's control. He was lured to a fake meeting and eliminated. But the question that has haunted everyone is, what happened to the body? The theories are the stuff of American legend. Was he buried in the concrete foundation of the old Giants Stadium? Was his body destroyed in a mob-owned sanitation plant? Over the years, the FBI spent millions chasing tips, digging up fields and searching under highways, all without success. Not a single trace of Jimmy Hoffa has ever been found. He was one of the most powerful men in the country, and he disappeared in broad daylight from a public place. He didn't just go missing. He was deliberately erased from existence. From a paralyzed man on a porch to a union boss in a parking lot, these 5 people share a chilling connection. They all stepped out of the ordinary and into an absolute void. Their stories poke holes in the reality we take for granted. When logic fails and evidence disappears, we're left staring into the abyss of the unknown. These people cease to exist, leaving a permanent echo in the space they once filled. Their cases remain cold, a testament to the terrifying idea that sometimes there just are no answers. What do you think happened in these cases? Which one gets under your skin the most? Share your theories in the comments below. We read every one of them, and talking about these stories helps keep them alive. Thanks for watching.